Monica Pearson. One-on-One, sponsored by Montlick Injury Attorneys.
This interview was like old home week for me. The group Nappy Roots has roots in Kentucky, my home state. These men love their hip-hop music craft, and they love brewing craft beer at their Atlantucky Brewing in the Castleberry Hill district of Atlanta. And that's where we went one-on-one. I'm sitting here with my homeboys, because I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and three of y'all from Louisville. Okay. Because I'm old and forgetful, I'm going to start. I'm at the bottom. Give me your name and where you grew up.
I'm Skinny DeVille, Louisville born and raised. I grew up in J-Town.
Yeah, I'm Fish Scales. I grew up in the small town of Millersville, Georgia.
It's your homeboy, Ron Clutch. I'm repping all of Louisville, from the West End to Newburgh to Old Broadmoor to New Broadmoor.
It's your man B Still, grew up in Newburgh, Louisville, Kentucky. Now living in the Highlands.
They met as students in the 90s at Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green.
Me and Clutch got there in '93, and we were the first ones that kind of met up right when school started. It might have been almost the first week of school. We just kind of, instantly hit it off, and we were both from the same city, and was living in the same area and still didn't kind of know each other. Some of our family kind of knew each other, but we really didn't know each other. And then Scales got there. You got there in '95?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got there the year I think my wife got there. And he got there on a full scholarship playing basketball. And then Still was good friends with my little brother.
I knew his whole family. I just didn't never know him.
I was a little older than him. I was 5 years older than my little brother. So he was in that era. And you got there in 96, 97, 97. And so we all got there in different years, but each one of us was exceptional at rapping. And so everyone that knew our friends, like, oh, you got to meet so-and-so, you got to hear so-and-so rap. He can do it and he can rap, And so we evolved between 93 and 97, forming the group Nappy Roots. And we started the idea in 95, kind of after we had heard Goody Mob's first album. He's like, oh man, if they can do it in Atlanta, they say the same things that we're going through here in Kentucky, that we can probably do it too. Mm-hmm. And so it knew it was gonna take some time to really get it to that level. But over the years, we developed a good friend and bond, and we put out our first album in 1998 called Country Fried Sets that got assigned to Atlantic Records.
The name Nappy Roots grew out of Clutch cutting hair in his room at school.
It had a great perspective. I think Clutch cut hair, as he said, and I think your clip was broke one day.
My clip was broke.
And Skinny, who was his #1 customer, couldn't get a haircut. So his hair just started growing out, and Skinny got good hair. I'm jealous of that, by the way. But his hair grew out, and this was around the time when Lauryn Hill said in the song, something, head full of nappy roots. And that resonated with Skinny and Clutch, who were the only ones in college at the time, and they loved that word, the phrase nappy roots. In my perspective, I came in 95. They had already been there since 93. And I seen Nappy Roots. Before I got in Nappy Roots, I seen these guys walking around campus, and I'm like, I like that. I was a big Wu-Tang fan, and I'm like, I want to be a part of that. So I got to see it from the outside and the inside on Nappy Roots, but it was the biggest thing on college campus.
So how did you all get your nicknames?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
I don't even want to start.
I think with me probably goes back to my grandmother always telling me to be still all the time. So it just kind of came back around, and I just landed on Be Still. That's where I landed at.
Clutch.
I probably have the easiest rap name out of everybody, with Clutch being on my birth certificate.
Scales.
I wish I had a good story for you.
Scales.
It's not that fun. It's not that deep at all. My rap name was Big Mill, and that's a boring name. I know you look excited, but it's a boring name. Big Mill. I used to rhyme it with Fish Scales all the time. And my partner, Prophet, who was in the group at the time, he said, man, you should just call yourself Fish Scales. You say it so much. And it had a negative connotation, so I kind of wanted to get away from Fish Scales. And then, so I said, what is the meaning of this? Where can I find meaning in this name? And I realized that I don't follow horoscopes on zodiac signs, but that is my sign, a Libra.
Pisces?
I'm a Libra. Scales.
Scales.
And so I had to find a meaning for the fish part as well. And my mother is a Pisces, so I kind of turned it into that.
Turned it into
more positive.
good.
Yeah.
Skinny.
Yes, ma'am. So my mom, back when she didn't have any kids, she ran track, and that was her nickname was Skinny. And she ended up having 4 kids, and she's not skinny no more. So
You ain't either, though.
You in trouble.
she didn't need it no more. And I used to work at GE with her. I took a summer job at GE, and she was just like the manager on the assembly line, and I was in fabrication. So I would always go around on my break and try to find her to say hi, and they'd be like, there go little Skinny right there. She's over there. I'm like, all right, and I run over there and say hi to her, give her a hug, and walk back to my spot. So I'm Skinny, and Skinny from DeVille, and Skinny DeVille. I could be Skinny De La Ville, so I just took the law off and said Skinny DeVille.
He also likes his independence, as does the rest of the group. When we return, how that independence proved to be successful when they made the bold move to walk away from a big offer. When you started out, I understand that you all actually walked away from a deal because they wanted you to be, how shall I say it, not what you were.
Yes.
That took a lot of gumption on young people's part when they're waving money in front of you.
Yeah, it was tough. So we got signed to Atlantic Records in 1998. Our first album, Watermelon Chicken and Grits, didn't come out till 2002. We worked our asses off. We toured around the country twice, 9 months one time, another 8 months the next, in a 15-passenger van. When it was 6 of us, plus a DJ, plus a road manager, plus luggage. And no one even saw that happening. And so we were grinding. The first album came out. We kept grinding. We thought the second album would kind of do what the first album did because they were so happy that we kept the lights on in Atlantic. And the second album didn't do as good as the first. And then that's when it started getting wonky, where they want us to keep doing this country, song and dance, even though we are from Kentucky. And that was our benefit the first time because no one came out of Kentucky. So they didn't know what to expect. So that's kind of how we used that coming from where no one's came from, kind of Kentucky, kind of country thing. But after the second album, it was like, yeah, we have other things we really want to do. And then by that time, the industry was changing. Record labels were collapsing. They were trying to figure out how they can get over more on the artists to stay alive. And then it was Scale's idea, we should go independent. And it was more money for the group if we went independent. And so it was a very tough struggle for us at that point when we got off the label in 2005. And we had to play dead for 2 years. We couldn't give them any music. They had to just lose interest in it because we were a platinum selling group and we act like we weren't together anymore so they could kind of go off and do something else. A lot of acts that were successful, they didn't let off the label because of just, you're under contract, you owe money. We got a lot of money on the second album, but we was able to finagle our way off, play dead. We went independent in 2005, and we ended up signing to Fontana in Grooves in 2008. We was able to come back out independent in 2008 with the Humdinger, which has our hit song Good Day on it. And so the independent side allows us to have more freedom. We didn't really want to do the song and dance. We're allowed to make our own decisions and be the masters of our own fate. And that was a much better play for us. We've been with In Groove since 2008 without no complaints. We make money now off every song and every stream, every album sold. We're able to tour. We don't have management, so no one's in our pockets taking money out of our family's mouths. And because we're 4 now, we're able to really have a life 20 years later that still is fruitful for the brand and the benefit of our families.
Well said.
Well, what I find fascinating is because you are doing so well on the road, why in the world do you open a brewery?
Because you cannot retire from rap.
That's right.
You cannot retire. And you don't want to be 60 years old realizing you should have made a pivot in your 40s or your 30s.
Right.
You should always have a plan B as an artist. And a lot of artists do. But again, Scale's idea, me and him were hanging out one day and thought it'd be cheaper for us to make our
these
beer.
ideas work.
Cheaper for us to make beer than to buy it. And that was wrong.
That was wrong.
But we have fun doing it. I got into beer in my 40s, 100%. Like, this is something I'm passionate about. Scales was already into beer.
This beer is sweet potato beer. It's called Two Whole Pies because each batch we drop 2 whole pies made by Angie and her kids. As we toured, which we toured about 200 dates, 250 sometime a year around this time, and we decided that before our shows, before our sound check, we would go to a brewery to promote the show. I don't know, I guess we didn't want to go to bars because that's too much drinking, and breweries were like a cool middle ground for us to go and promote the show for that night. And when Nappy Roots show up, we show up. So the owners would come out, they'd be like, oh, y'all Nappy Roots? Let me give you a tour of our brewery. And that happened every city we went to. That's why you can go to Instagram and see all these pictures of us going to breweries for the last 10 years. Because we would go there and we see a tour, and you can't show us something too many times without us actually doing it. We're gonna look at it, we're gonna say, wait, I can do this. And that's exactly what happened.
And just to wrap it all the way up, I mean, this kind of came out really of a passion project during the pandemic because when Nappy Roots was off the road and we couldn't tour, you know, because the whole country was shut down, Skinny and Scales did a lot of stuff in Scales' backyard in his garage. So they brewed a lot of beer in the garage and brought some people over. I mean, I guess quarantine probably was happening, but you feel me? They was wearing masks and all that, you know, probably.
Sort of. Atlanta was
anyway, Atlanta was jumping in Scales' backyard, and that was the birth of Atlantucky. So when we got the opportunity to move into our own building during the pandemic, we jumped on that, and we've been going strong ever since and growing.
For all the beer tonight, my brother right here made it. He made the beer. You had beer tonight, he made it. I'm here to support this guy and his vision to make this thing what it is right now, and I'm so happy that y'all still here with us.
Making beer, it takes different ingredients. It takes time, effort, you know what I'm saying? We're independent, making our music. It's just like independent craft beer, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of correlation between making music.
See, you're leading me into my next question, which was basically, how is making beer like making music?
So I can easily tell you. So we're about to go to the studio after this interview. Our studio session is from 2 to 9. When me and Scales get in the back, our brew days is from 8 to 4. And your brew system is your recording equipment. Your recipe are your lyrics. Your grains and ingredients, that's your drums, your hi-hats, your snares, your keys. And he's the producer. And so you spend 4 to 8 hours in the studio making a song. You spend 4 to 8 hours making a beer. Your song is, once your song is on a rough draft, you're riding around listening to it for a couple of weeks, tweaking it. That's the beer sitting in the fermenter. It takes about 14 days for fermentation to get done. Once you get that beer done, you put it into a keg. That's your mastering. You're mixing and mastering. You're getting everything down to one thing. And once it gets into that keg or the can, now you're able to listen to that song or drink that beer. That beer sitting on the shelf is the same thing as your CD sitting on the shelf. And your distributor is still your distributor. If it's gonna sell, it's about your brand awareness and your fan base. And if the customer comes in and likes your beer, he's gonna tell somebody about it, like someone who likes your song's gonna tell somebody about it. If they know where to find you, they're gonna follow you and keep up with you, and that's your experience. This is our record label here, and this is our place to make music as well as make beer. And so from there, the world is your oyster. It's about keeping up and making sure you're competing with everybody else. In Atlanta, there's so many rappers. If you want to put your beer on the shelf, there's so many other competitors out there. If your beer is good and you can get out there in front of the customer and shake hands and kiss babies like you do as an independent artist, your brand should sustain the initial hype of it. After that, you still got to pay your bills and take care of your family. That's no matter what. But if I take all the money here and go to the strip club and buy spinning rims, I'm still doing rapper stuff. So at this point, I haven't got that far yet on how different that is after that. But that's the basic part of it, though.
So basically, if you trust us with the music, if you love us, Nappy Roots for the music, and you trust us with the music, it's safe to say that you can trust us with the beer. You know, we got it's a lot of different flavors, from the Bluff to the Oktoberfest.
LL.
The LL, you know.
Yeah.
a lot of folks come in that probably don't even really like beer, are not avid beer drinkers, but they come in and we got the bartenders that'll tell you, walk you through, like, okay, you like this, you like that, and bam, 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 and next thing you know, you're a beer drinker, you're a craft beer drinker.
And because we're Nappy Roots, that helps get people in the door. But some people know it's just from Atlantucky, and they find out we are Nappy Roots. So it allows us to not really say, hey, Nappy Roots, look at me. It's like, hey, try the product that I've made, and we're just as passionate about making music as we are making beer.
And just like we want to give each song a different feeling, each beer is going to give you a different feeling as well.
Now you got 2 beers named after 2 albums.
Yeah. We have LL Cool J, and we have J. Kolsch as well, which is named after, we had a Goza Cat beer, which is a Goza. And we try to implement and keep it fun with, artists that we look up to or appreciate, as well as locations that we've either seen or came from, or albums that we've been a part of as well that have made our difference in our lives.
Coming up, the group's resilience after a violent attack. Then later, Jason Carter is someone you need to know. And no, I'm not talking about the former president's grandson. We're talking about One Musicfest.
They say he's actively robbing a business.
He's robbing a business.
Police say a group of men kidnapped and shot an Atlanta business owner and well-known rapper at his brewery. Police are now looking for the people responsible.
It was August 18, 2022, when Fish Scales was robbed and kidnapped outside the brewery. He was made to drive to Hapeville, where he escaped but was shot in the leg by one of the robbers.
Man, it was like the world just got flipped upside down.
Yeah, we was the next thing smoking. Yeah.
And thank God it wasn't, life ending, and I'm sure the trauma for him, and I'm sure he can speak for himself, but it shouldn't have happened at all, because we're good dudes and we're just trying to do something for the community to where someone thought they could take advantage, and they might have smelt that we're making money because we're opening this thing. But
we're a cashless bar, just to let you.
It's a terrible thing for us to try to take advantage of someone who's working hard. And for my brother, because I love him like my only brother, I felt the pain, and I hate that we are that to our own community. It made me realize, like, man, like we're really trying to do something for everybody, and still some people want to try to take advantage of that for their own personal gain. And it's so unfortunate. And I think we're better than this. We learn. And when it happened, Scales was worried about the brewery and how it made the brewery look. That was his first thing he said. I didn't want to look bad on the brewery because we were just getting started, and how it was going to make other people think about us if they was going to come in or not.
I mean, you doing something right, bro. You represent Atlanta the right way.
And here's the toast. So here we go. Look, this is where we were, this is where we are, and this is where we're going to be. Boom!
I don't look at it like, damn, why that happened to me. I look at it like, man, you made it out of that. You made it out of that. You could take on anything. And that's what it done for me. Every day, I wish everybody can get to the point where I'm at, without getting shot. But get to the point where you wake up and you say, yeah, man, I am blessed. I am blessed to wake up this morning. Let's start right there. I'm breathing, because a lot of people aren't, that I know. And that's where my day starts. Like, it is, you are waking up, you are putting your feet on the ground. You are very blessed. You made it through that.
That's my big bro right there.
Yeah, man. And that woke a monster in me to be thankful for that. Be thankful for my brothers. And so, but again, my biggest problem was I don't want to walk in the room. I got so much good stuff going on. Why am I walking in the room talking about this? Why am I talking about what happened to me when I got so much good stuff going on? So that was my biggest frustration, and we're kind of getting out of that. Very less and less people ask me about it. There's still people who I hadn't seen since it happened, so I give them that grace when they bring it up. But if you've already seen me, we already talked about it, we don't talk about that. Like, we on to way better things.
Yeah, true.
We can't let whoever that was win. Like, we beyond that, man. We doing great things, and it's, I'm ready to work.
So let's talk about the album. You're going to the studio
Yes,
next
ma'am.
today.
Yes,
Y'all
ma'am.
got a new album coming out when?
Well, we don't have a date on it right now. We released Nappy for Life last October. We normally try to take our time making albums because we want to live and get that experience of just every day doing things. And as we've gotten older, I feel like making music has gotten a lot easier. We have so much more to talk about. And so what we're doing now for this project is we're dropping songs every 4 to 6 weeks instead of releasing a whole album, because now the consumption from the consumers is so fast. They want an instant gratification with 1 or 2 songs. They don't get to the 13th or the 10th or 13th song. So we spent 2 years making this phenomenal album, and you only get past song 4, and you go to the next song on your playlist. Streaming has changed the way people listen to music. And so we want to adapt to that as we've gotten able to grow with the industry and how times have changed. We want to change with them.
The group also wants to change lives. The proceeds from the sale of their beer, The Bluff, go to a program in the Bluff neighborhood of Atlanta. The program's called Future Successors.
Yeah, we got a program in Kentucky where I'm doing I'm a spokesman for this thing called Work Ready KY. And basically it's for any Kentuckian who has a GED who wants free trade school. So you go to a trade school, get your education, get a certificate. You get out in a couple years, you get to making your money, you don't have to pay the student loans back. So that's workreadyky.com, yeah.
You all are...
And that's Nappy for Life.
Yeah.
That's Nappy for Life.
Right.
We're trying to make people's lives a little bit better than what
Enrich
they
your
are
life.
through music.
That's right.
Because a lot of music is negative, not say a lot. Some music you hear is negative. It doesn't help push the needle forward for our culture and the plight of the African American, period. But there's some music that you can learn from, and that doesn't really get to the forefront a lot because they want us to be in this other trap mindset to where, you know, we're killing ourselves and doing things that's not conducive to our environment, our neighborhoods. But for Nappy Roots, we never really took that route. We try to think a little bit more, positive and uplifting and motivational is the word I would like to use. We're more motivational hip hop and Southern conscious, meaning you're just conscious of your surroundings, conscious of where you came from, and knowing if whether it was good, keep going. If it's bad, get out of it. You don't have to be stuck in that mindset, you know, and I think that's where America as a whole should be going. You know, we should be going moving forward. America is a great country. We're probably the best country in the world. And some of the things we've done as African Americans in this country, we wouldn't be able to do that nowhere else but America.
Atlantucky is more than just a name. Up next, the meaning behind it and how social media played a part. Plus, it brings 100,000 people to Atlanta each year. You'll meet the man behind One Musicfest when One-on-One continues. The name of the Nappy Roots Brewery is a combination of Atlanta and Kentucky, and it all started with Facebook.
We did it around Facebook. When Facebook first started, they would ask for what name you wanted to start your page with and what is your location. And somehow at the time they allowed us to make up a word because I think I was in Atlanta, most of the group was in Louisville, Kentucky. So we put Atlantucky. And this was probably 2006, maybe, like right at the beginning of Facebook. And just over time, I think luck, man, because I love that name. Atlantucky may be the greatest part of this whole thing. I love the name. It encompasses Nappy Roots because we met in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Most of us are from Louisville, Kentucky, but we recorded our albums in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And
the scales from Georgia.
And I'm from Georgia. And I-65, 75 North to I-24 West to 65 North. I could do it with my eyes closed. So Atlantucky was perfect for us.
And so Atlanta, it showed us so much love. Like, this is my second home. Without Atlanta, I don't think we would be who we are, period. They opened the doors to some country boys from Kentucky. I remember us coming down to Patchwork from at Western. We was college students and coming down here, and we met Tip. When he was Tip, he was in our sessions hanging out. Scales they was riding in the same car sometimes. And he'll probably tell you the same thing about how we all started it was Young Bloods, Jim Crow, T.I., and it was Nappy Roots trying to all get their start at the same time.
Yeah.
And the response and the love that we've always received here in Atlanta. That's the reason I brought my family down here. And my sons, they grew up here. My daughter grew up here. She's going to Fort Valley now. And I wouldn't be who I am without the support of Atlanta.
Nappy Roots has been together since the 1990s. How have they done it? Well, they see themselves as a family and have as their mantra, I am because we are because I am. Nappy Roots has not performed at the One Musicfest that brings 100,000 people to Atlanta. This 2-day urban music festival is the largest Black-owned, independently run outdoor music festival in the nation. It's the brainchild of Jason J. Carter. When I went one-on-one with this native New Yorker, I learned he shares more than a name with another Jason Carter. So how many times has that name, Jason Carter, confused people with you and the other Jason Carter of the Jimmy Carter family fame?
Yeah. A few times. He and I actually know each other. So back when he made his run for governor, I supported him as well. So that was our campaign. Jason Carter meet Jason Carter, and Jason Carter meet Jason Carter. And but yeah, a few times. But he's a great guy, so it's not a bad thing.
That was one of the many good things that happened to Jay Carter after his family moved from New York to Atlanta when he was 14 years old.
So I spent 14 years in Harlem. So I moved to Atlanta, or more so Stone Mountain, when I was 14. So 9th grade. My father got a promotion with Xerox. So it's either we were moving to Rochester, New York, or we were moving to Atlanta, Georgia. In my opinion, I think that's probably one of the best decisions our family made.
Why?
Atlanta's it's a special place. I tell people that all the time. I said, you can go anywhere in the world, and if somebody says, yeah, it feels like Atlanta, no, it don't. No, nothing feels like Atlanta. Atlanta's Atlanta, right? I mean, you can't really go anywhere and get this kind of this makeup, you know? I mean, it was, growing up in New York, I thought Harlem was the blackest thing in the world. But there was another level when I moved to Atlanta. Like, your chief of police was black, your commissioner, your city council, your mayor, business owners. It was just another level. So I think my experience as a young black boy just kind of exploded when I moved to Atlanta.
So in high school, you look like the kind of man that when you were in high school, you had some side gigs.
Yeah, I had hustles. Yeah.
So tell me what you were doing back then.
Yeah, I was a candy guy. That's right. So got in trouble. That started in New York. I think it was like 6th grade. What I found out, because my parents, although we lived in Harlem, we lived in the hood. But they invested in education. So I went to a private school while living in Harlem. But what I realized is that the candy that we have in Harlem is very different than the candy they have in Midtown. And so that was my first hustle until I got my hand slapped. So yeah, I was a candy guy. I was that guy in school.
So when you came to Atlanta, which high school did you go to?
I went to Redan. I went to Redan High School in Stone Mountain.
So did you continue your Candyman business at Redan?
No.
What did you do at Redan?
I didn't really, but I mean, I didn't really have that hustle, but ironically, I connected with another close friend of mine in 9th grade whose birthday was around the same time as mine. And I wanted to it's my first year living in Atlanta, living in Stone Mountain. I wanted to have a birthday party. I want to have a big birthday party for my 15th. And so being that my father worked at Xerox, I said, well, let me create this flyer, take it to my dad's company, get them to make all these copies. I bring all these copies to school, and we started passing out all these flyers. And my parents were like, well, how many people you plan on having at your birthday? I said, maybe 40 people. It was hundreds.
No.
Hundreds showed up. It was insane. So my parents were like, well, how do you know all these people? Who are these people? And it was probably one of that was the start of throwing events, I guess, was when I turned 15.
When his older sister was accepted at Florida A&M University, FAMU, he went along for the ride and was blown away by what he saw.
At that time, I didn't know a lot about HBCUs, right? I just wasn't exposed to that. So went down to visit Florida A&M when I was 15 with my sister and mom and dad, and never seen anything like it. So going from Harlem, right, and having that black experience, coming to Atlanta, the black experience just explodes, and then seeing FAMU, I said, "Oh my God, this is insane. There's another level. There's another level." And so, seeing young, black, intelligent, beautiful people from all dynamics and backgrounds and suits and carrying briefcases and running the class and looking at what's going on in the engineering building and seeing what's going on in the business school, it just blew my mind. I just wanted to be a part of it. And I think that's probably the second best choice I made at that young age. Yeah.
So what was your major at FAMU?
It was business administration, then I got into business economics.
So when did the idea of having a music festival like One Musicfest, when did that really start to percolate? Because I don't think it was just in 2008.
Well, so upon graduating, I worked for the family business. But, that wasn't my first choice.
What's the family business?
So my father left Xerox and created a Xerox agency. But coming out of school, I was a creative. I had these big ideas. I didn't want to work for the family business. So they said, all right, you got 6 months to find something. And then if you don't find something, you're working for us. I said, bet. And then 6 months passed. I didn't change the world. And they said, yeah, go ahead, get up, 7 o'clock in the morning, coming into the office. And so then I started working for the family business. But as I was doing the family business, I randomly just started doing events.
What happened next, and the person he credits most for keeping his dream of One Musicfest alive? That's when One-on-One continues.
While Jay Carter worked in the family business in the day, at night he hosted events, then opened a live music venue, and eventually a nightclub. And then he started doing some research.
And as I started exploring the live music and festival space, I just realized it was another big gaping hole in how festivals are being programmed. Because music is about discovery and connectivity, and these festivals are about community. And traveling to go into some of these festivals, I was like, why doesn't this exist for our music, our culture? And no one had the answer. So I took the idea actually to some large companies at first, and they literally looked me in my face and said, no one's gonna go to that. Not gonna go. And these are people that didn't look like me, telling me what our culture and our people wouldn't do. I was like, why would you say that? Like an outdoor music festival that has, cross-generational music and music of all different genres kind of in one space to be celebrated. Why would we not? And couldn't really get anybody on board with that. So I said, all right, well, I talked to some of my friends in certain different industries and backgrounds, and we kind of motley crewed, piecemealed this thing all together and did the first one in 2010. But it was really just the lack of programming in the festival industry that really didn't cater to Black culture and music.
And what's so interesting is the diversity of the kinds of music that One Musicfest gives.
Right.
Sounds like that was another important point for you, and why?
Absolutely.
Because there's hip hop, but there's R&B, there's a little reggae thrown in there.
Right.
So how did you create this gumbo?
I think it's the acknowledging how powerful intersections are, right? If you stay in your own space, in your own box, in your own community, you're gonna only get what you get, right? But if what happens if I put the the Earth, Wind & Fire music lover and a Jill Scott music lover in the same space. There is some overlap. There's some overlap, right? I mean, the way we listen to music is not, we're not myopic in how we think and celebrate and how we embrace and how we digest music, right? So, I could probably look at your playlist and you probably have everything in there from, Boney James to Jeezy.
I do.
Right? So why is there not a space where we can safely celebrate all levels of our culture and music, right? It doesn't have to be all young hip hop or all blue lights in the basement. And so it was a cultural experiment. And I said, I hope this works. And it did.
But in the beginning, how much money did you lose?
A lot. Yeah. 5 years straight. 5 years straight, we lost tons of money.
Why didn't you give up?
Mostly the people, I would say. The people, watching it grow, looking at the way sponsors and brands were getting more involved. But I would say, after the 5th year, I absolutely wanted to stop. I had my second child on the way. My wife was, she was probably the main person that kept me going. She was the main person that, if it wasn't for her, One Musicfest probably wouldn't be going on right now, because the amount of money we lost in the 5th year, I said, I don't know if I can do this again. I mean, thank God we had other businesses and things that we did outside of the festival, but her exact words were, you can look at the money lost in 2 ways. You can either look at it as losing money or investing money, right? Because when you invest in something, and it's stocks or real estate or whatever it is, you don't see the return right away, right? It's down the road. So look at it more as an investment into this brand that continues to grow every year, right? You're getting more brand sponsors, more people in attendance, bigger acts, right? Why would you stop now? And she was right. Then the following year is when we kind of broke through.
So how do you pick the acts, and how do you convince them to be in One Musicfest?
It's a few of us that sit in the room, and we kind of have our favorites. We pick our favorites, and we pick what's trending, what's going on in this generation, what nostalgic act should we plug in, and you just kind of see you kind of thread them all together to see what kind of tells the best story. Because that's what it is. Our lineup is literally, it's storytelling, right? So, when you look at, a Victoria Monet's journey, when you look at a Jill Scott's journey, even a Cardi B's journey, and just see how they're all kind of loosely connected in some weird cultural way. It just all kind of connects. So some people get it, some people won't. Some people are like, yeah, Glorilla on the same lineup as Earth, Wind & Fire. To you, it doesn't work. To a music lover, it absolutely works. So it's a process. It probably takes us a good solid 2 months to really figure out what the lineup will look like, and convincing folks. For the special moments, it's really relationships, I would say.
Up next, the magical moments that made One Musicfest what it is today. Plus, how the festival is expanding beyond Atlanta.
In 15 years, One Musicfest has had some magical moments, like in 2016.
That was a very special year. That was, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest music moments in Atlanta history. To have the Dungeon family kind of unite all together on stage. And to date, that was the last time that Outkast performed together.
2023 brought Janet Jackson to One Musicfest, and her fans were not just in the audience.
Everybody, every young artist we had on the bill wanted to see Janet Jackson. They were trying to figure out how to get there a little bit early or how to stay late just in order to see Janet or just to meet her. So yeah, Janet last year, everybody was trying to figure out how to get in front of her. Was it 19? I think 19 we did Isley Brothers, same thing. And I think that was the same year we had Pharrell, Usher, Side Stage Watcher. Yeah. I mean, those are the those are the bridge builders for us, right? I mean, a lot of the hip hop songs you listen to, they have samples from these classic songs that's produced by these artists. So true music lovers, this is like a homecoming for true music lovers. I think festivals are a lot about discovery and learning too, right? And I think a festival, when you talk about festivals, I think community as well. So it has to be accepting to all people, right? I mean, if you look at the makeup of our audience, it's not 100% Black by any stretch, you know. I would say the bulk of our audience is probably early 30s, but my parents are out there, my kids are out there, and everyone's having a good time, you know. And I think that's one of the things that also makes One Musicfest very unique. It does feel like a very genuine, authentic, safe place to celebrate our culture and music, right? So you got Earth, Wind & Fire over here, you got the vegan Jamaican spot over here, and then you got, the someone doing, double Dutch and a roller skating rink over here. I mean, it's all corners of our culture just in one place being celebrated. And I think that's a generational story.
Now you have expanded to doing a festival in Dallas, but it has a different name, TWO, Gather Land.
Yep.
Why did you change the name?
So a lot of people said that. A lot of people was like, just call it One Musicfest Southwest. And when you do that, it's gonna make someone compare Dallas to Atlanta, right? Well, the One Musicfest in Dallas was this, and One Musicfest in Atlanta was this. So we said, well, why don't we just make a real clear divide, right? Why don't we, because Dallas, just like Atlanta, back in 2010, we didn't have anything quite like One Musicfest. And what I've come to find out is Dallas had nothing, or has nothing like a Black music festival. Nothing that really the closest thing is like a Juneteenth festival, but nothing that celebrates like our music and culture, just putting it in one space to just to be collectively celebrated. And so we said, all right, so let's give the Southwest and Dallas its own brand. Let's give them their own battle cry. And so we came up with Togetherland, which was a play off 1 and 2. So Together speaks unity, One speaks unity. So it's all in the same family.
So I've got to ask, do you pinch yourself sometimes and go, I can't believe I did this? Sometimes
I do. I don't think I stop long enough sometimes to really kind of look at everything that we do. Because if you would have told me 20 years ago I'd be doing this, I'd tell you no. But yeah, because I was a fan first. I absolutely was a fan of music. I celebrated artists. I celebrated live music. I celebrated our culture. And I'm sure you're a testament to this as well, to be able to wake up every day and do something that you love and appreciate. It doesn't really feel like work, So yeah, I do have to slow down sometimes and say, this is a blessing that sometimes your destiny and your calling kind of taps you on the shoulder, and you didn't even know it was there.
Jay Carter is a music fan, and he told me when Earth, Wind & Fire hits the stage, he's cutting off the walkie-talkie and the phone to enjoy the elements. One Musicfest is October 26th and 27th. For more information, go to onemusicfest.com. Thank you for joining me. And if you want to see more one-on-one, just subscribe to Peachtree TV on YouTube, where you can watch all episodes. Good night.